What's up, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Life's a Garden. Thank you so much for joining, as always. If you wouldn't mind, please like, share, subscribe on all platforms. Really helps us out in the numbers game and all that stuff. I wanted to get started this week, similar to last week, with a positive motivational message. Something we do a lot on this podcast, mostly in the guest episodes, but I feel like I kind of lack doing those sometimes in the solo podcasts. So I think it's a good way just to get started. We start off on a strong note. And this week, my message for you is to stay true to your beliefs. In this world today, especially with social media and so much division, a lot of divisiveness, division. It feels easy to get trapped in a cycle of like you have to do this way, or you have to believe in this, or you have to, we're not all made the same. We don't all come from the same mold. We don't come from the same backgrounds. We don't come from the same cultures, family systems, everything. Every bit of who we are is unique to ourselves. And so we're all bound to believe different things for different reasons, right? Some of us are religious, some of us are not as religious, or maybe more spiritual. Some of us have different political leanings. And the thing I want to and all of that's fine. It's great. It's great that we all have different ideas and different thoughts and things like that. But it's, just believe in what you strongly believe in. Whatever is true to you, stick to it. And hold those true to you, because there's a reason you believe in those. You shouldn't be forced to feel like you need to lean a different way. And now, obviously, there's different thoughts that may be dangerous or may be, not the right path. And that's where it gets a little tricky sometimes. But overall, or most people know, when the thing you're believing in is good or bad, or has good intentions. And not all good intentive beliefs run the same, or some people disagree with those, and even though they're harmless, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. I feel like I'm jumbling all over the place and I'm rambling a lot. But overall message, stay true to what you believe in. There's a reason you believe in it, right? And don't let people try and sway you from your beliefs. It's okay that people believe different things. And don't try and stifle other people's beliefs. Don't try and force your beliefs onto others. That's very important as well. You can believe what you want to believe, but do that in your own circles. Don't try and push other people to believe the way you believe, because maybe they have different circumstances in the way they were brought up or the way their background is. So that's my message today. Kind of a long intro, but it's all good. We're starting off positive, starting off on a positive note. And let's get into the episode today. It is episode 149 of Life's a Garden. Getting jacked up on that Black Rifle coffee this morning. God, I forgot how good that is. Been drinking that frickin' Folgers. And don't get me wrong, Folgers ain't bad. The best part of waking up. But truly the best part of waking up is some Black Rifle coffee. I haven't had that in a minute. And finally ran out of the stuff I was I was drinking, so I got a chance to go back to that Black Rifle coffee. Delicious, definitely expensive, but you guys already know, wouldn't make a dent. So, if it wouldn't make a dent, then try yourself a cup of Black Rifle coffee. Not a sponsor. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for joining again. So stoked to be back doing another podcast for you guys. I'm going to just go ahead and get it kicked off on a hot take here, okay? I've come to the realization that ducks are fully R-worded. So this morning, I'm driving to get some groceries, pick up a little Black Rifle coffee. Now, where I live, there's a park where all the ducks like to flock, okay? And inevitably, they end up getting in my yard and pooping all over my driveway. Hell, I was walking to work the other day. They're just like chilling on my roof. They're everywhere. They're all over like my neighborhood area. So I see a lot of ducks. Sometimes in the morning, I wake up to just a duck outside my window, just whack, 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 whack. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Now, ducks are no stranger to my world. I'm almost 30 years old. I've seen them for 30 years, okay? And this morning, I'm driving to go get some groceries. And this duck, one single duck, is just standing in the middle of the road, just staring into oblivion, while cars are like coming right up, honking at it, just like, get the fuck out of the way! Cats, squirrels, any other, fucking rabbits, any other animal on this planet darts away from cars. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe the ducks are the smarter ones, because usually when a cat or a squirrel darts out, they just run into another car. But in my opinion, no, they're dumb as fuck. Ducks are fully R-worded, okay? Because they just stand there, or maybe they're suicidal, maybe they're just ready for it to end. I don't know. Because they just stand there waiting for you. There's no way ducks don't know what happens when you're standing in the middle of the street. Or do they? Or are they just that dumb? Because they see their buddies. I see ducks all the time getting run over. And this isn't the first time I've ever seen a duck just standing in the middle of the road. Dude, some ducks will just walk across the road with their whole family. They're just walking. They're not like trying to rush across, like the red hand is flashing and they gotta hurry up. No, they're just taking their sweet ass time with their whole fucking family, putting their whole lives on the line. And here's the real hot take, okay? Next time I see a duck in the road, just standing there staring at me like a complete deer in the headlights, like a duck in the headlights, I'm gonna run that fucker down, okay? And teach all these other motherfuckers a lesson. To be like, this is what happens when you stand here. I'm not just gonna be the polite Mr. Oh, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for you to take your time and get out of my way. Because if you got out and started chasing them, those motherfuckers are mean. They'll chase after you. So I'm not playing those games. Not anymore. I made the conscious decision. Next time a duck is standing there staring at me, bill first, I'm running the motherfucker down. And here's my justification for it, okay? Something you guys may or may not know about ducks. Did you know ducks only Oh yeah. There is anytime from now on, from the rest of your life, when you go out and see a female duck, and you know which the brown ones are the females, and the mallards, or I guess the drakes, with the green heads, those are the guys, okay? Anytime you see a brown female duck, just understand they never have consensual sex, okay? Ducks only be and not only do they do that, but they gang. If you've ever noticed, especially during mating season, for every one female duck, there's always 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 male ducks. And the reason for that is they all take turns fucking the female. Not to her consent. They all team up and have sex with this duck, and then she has the babies. And the reason there's always 2, 3, 4 male ducks to every 1 female is because none of them know who the father is. So they're all there to protect the nest and to protect the mom at that point, because nature comes in and now they have to protect the flock. So that's what and whenever you walk by, they just start like back, because they all like gather around the female. But also, whenever you see them chasing each other in the sky, that's the female duck trying to not get. That's what's happening. So, for that reason, I'm running the motherfuckers over. One less on the streets, you know what I'm saying? You can't disagree with that. You can't argue with that logic. So when you see me just blasting through a flock of ducks, just know I'm doing the Lord's work. And I'm getting rid of these sicko ducks that are just out here taking advantage of female ducks. Now, I'm not going to run over the female ducks because they're not at fault here. I see them greenheads. like that's the racist term for ducks. These fucking greenheads out here. When I see one of these greenheads out here, I'm running that motherfucker over. Not only is he dense in the head, but he's a fucking sicko. We don't need these perverts running around all over the place with their fucking their corkscrew ass, crazy corkscrew dick. Bet you didn't know that. And for that fact, you're gonna go Google it right now, aren't you? Ducks have this weird, twisty, cavatopy, noodle-looking cock that they just split. It just splurts out of them while they're in the sky. They're fucking ladies. I'm probably gonna get flagged on this episode for saying the R word so many times. So I'm probably gonna have to bleep. If I bleep any of those out, that's why. Because I think if you say that word too many times, they'll flag you. So I'm gonna have to bleep them out. But you know what I'm saying. Unconsensual sex. Gives you a whole different perspective on Donald Duck and Daffy Duck now, don't it? Here's another quick thought that I had. Maybe controversial or not. Just because I'm thinking about Looney Tunes now. Isn't it kind of funny that all these Bud Light drinkers out here flipping out about the whole trans thing, the whole trans ad campaign, when they were the same kids that grew up watching Bugs Bunny dress up like a chick every week? The amount of times Bugs Bunny dressed in drag and tried to fuck Elmer Fudd or Yosemite Sam, and somehow you turned out all right. You were watching Bugs Bunny be trans in a cartoon. Now they try to make that happen. That wasn't even a thought in your mind back then. And now if you see that in a cartoon, you're like, oh my God! Cancel it! Turn it off! You're brainwashing our children! I guess at the same time, they also had Tom and Jerry smoking cigarettes and getting boozed up. But, I don't know. It is funny to think that, like, the amount of times Bugs Bunny dressed up to try and, like, fool Elmer Fudd into thinking he was a chick, and then Elmer Fudd falls in love with him and realizes he was trying to be pranked. It's like, I tried to... just kidding, Elmer. Just trying to fuck you is all. Like, oh, dude, you're gay. You tried to fuck me. Actually, and that's the thing. Elmer Fudd would get pissed off because he wasn't a woman. He was a guy. And he almost got tricked into doing some gaying. The difference is, the reality of it is, he almost got tricked into doing some bestiality, which is even more insane. Just a thought that I had recently about Theo. But here's the thing. Daffy Duck would have just gone up and let Bugs have it, had he known. Because ducks be doing some devious activities out there. And now, you'll never look at a duck the same again. I have this distinct memory being a kid. My mom used to work at the KOA campground. I'll never forget this. One of the most terrifying moments of my life. There was always ducks and geese that would hang out. And dude, you thought ducks were mean? Geese are mean as shit. And we were like trying to feed them, I guess. And something, I don't know what transpired to make these geese like start chasing us. But I just remember they started chasing, like a big flock of them just start like chasing us. And me and my mom are running, and I got these little legs. I'm just like, ugh! And like, I can't run that fast. I'm just a little guy. And I tripped and fell, and it was straight out of a movie. I tripped and fell, and I looked back. It felt like slow motion. I'm turning my head, looking back, and I'm seeing this duck or this goose like, wah, wah, wah. And I'm like, no! And then my mom just scoops me up and just hauls ass out of there. But that was the first terrifying thing that ever happened to me, I think. Getting chased down by geese. And maybe, honestly, maybe that's why I have this deep-seated hatred for ducks. But once you find out that they're kind of disgusting animals, I'm pretty sure all ducks have lice too. Don't all like foul animals carry lice? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe that's just a wives' tale that I heard at one point in my life. Either way, it's duck season, motherfucker! Bam! And I'm going at him with my tires just. Adios, mother ducker. So, moving on from, how do I transition out of this? I have no idea. We're just gonna go to a straight cut. Finished recording not the podcast, but I finished recording all the band members. We are all wrapped up in the recording process for our latest CD that will be released sometime this year. Now we just gotta wait for the mixing, the mastering. That'll take probably 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere in there. And then, in the meantime, we will come up with a name. We'll commission some artwork. It's exciting, man. It really is. It's an exciting feeling. I'll just talk to you a little bit about my experience doing the vocals. Man, I'm nervous. I just hope they come out sounding good for you guys. I'm not really worried about my stake, because one thing that you would know, like if anybody out there is a singer, you understand how hard it is to listen to yourself, because you're so critical of yourself. And I think that's true with anything, with any person in any field that you work in or whatever. What am I trying to say? Sorry. In any field you work in, you're critical of yourself. You know, you're always your worst critic. And so, it was difficult for me to have to listen to myself over and over again, first of all. But I think it helps to make it the best it can be, because if I listen to it and I'm like, that's a good take, or that sounds good, then it's going to be the best take, because I'm not going to let anything that's like remotely not good get past. So because of that, we did end up having to retake a lot of things. I was very picky. I mean, we're spending some money on this thing, so I'm not going to put out a bad product. I want to put out something that sounds good, that we're proud of. And I knew that's how I was going to be with my vocals. So throughout the recording process, with all the other guys, I was very diligent to ask them, are you happy with that? Do you like that? Is that something you're going to be proud of when we get the final product? So, and I felt like I was kind of bugging them a little bit when I was asking that. But it was important because I knew that's how I was going to ask myself. Is that good enough? Am I happy with that? And there was a few times, we listened back and I'm like, just something doesn't sound right. Can I try and record that? And I would sing it maybe a little differently, or I would just... Here's an example. One of our songs I was singing, and I heard it when we were playing it back, and it just felt really messy. It felt like I was trying to rush myself. I wasn't getting the words out clearly, so I was kind of like rushing through certain words, and you couldn't hear them clearly. So I was like, something just sounds wrong. Let me try it again. So I took it, listened back, perfect. It sounded great. It had like I was hitting those points more clearly. So it was a long process, and I appreciate Jesse's patience with me, in particular, in all of that. I'm sure he's possibly dealt with maybe more difficult people than me, and probably definitely dealt with easier going people than me. But I'm very strongly, I want to put out a good product, and I don't take it lightly in the sense of what I'm trying to put out there. So I was very diligent in that. But it was a fun experience, very interesting. I was worried I was going to run out of breath. I wasn't going to be able to go for so long, but it's really not that hard because you're not going full force. That was the other thing I had to put in my mind. This is going to be on recording. I don't need to completely throw my voice out. Hit it powerful, but don't hit it like you're on stage. Because so many times on stage, by the end of the show, I will completely have run out of voice, or I can't hit certain notes anymore because I've just run my voice through the ringer. And that's why I like the in-ear monitors, because it keeps me able to just hit that perfect range where I'm not overdoing it and I'm not underdoing it. So definitely was a nice, a fun experience. I will say that. It was a very fun experience. And now that we've done it, I think we're going to be more confident the next time we go to do it. And I'm stoked for you guys to hear the CD when it comes out. Obviously, I probably won't say anything from here on out until we get it done, because I don't want to release too many details. I don't want to spoil anything. But it's going to be exciting. It's a huge milestone for me personally, because this is the first time I've ever recorded anything, and it's a huge milestone for the band, because it's just that next level. It's that next step that we need to take. Plus, we're booking more shows. It's an exciting year for Cutthroat, and so I appreciate all the fans. I appreciate everything. I'm just so happy and proud to be a part of all this, and it's kind of a legacy thing for me, I guess, because now, for the first time ever, music that I was a part of creating and being a part of writing and doing all that will be in stone. We'll be able to distribute it to the world. We'll get to share that with further reaches than what we have been able to. And not only that, when I die, these songs will exist beyond me. And that's truly the most thing I'm proud of, because now I know I can die and have left the legacy that I was most proud of. And all these songs, they are some of my favorites that we've ever done. So it's very exciting to get those ones out into the world. Plus, way more to come after this. I'm sure we will be recording in the future as well. But Yeah, that's a recording news. This is another thing that kind of came out involving music. Did anybody hear about this AI that created a Drake and Weeknd collaboration song that neither of them had anything to do with? And I heard a snippet of it. Fucker slaps. Like, it's pretty good. And those dudes had nothing to do with it. It was completely AI generated, which is terrifying if you're a musician. Because now you can just generate fucking music. Good music. It's not like it was good. So it already started with art. You were able to generate AI art and do that. So that's terrifying for artists. The one thing I really thought that was always going to be safe with this AI stuff was creativity, was like artistic creativity. And now that's even being threatened. Now, it's still true that humans are going to always be the better creators because, well, it's twofold. One, this will make human creativity all the much more powerful because it's coming from a human and not from a machine. So if somebody hears something great that came from a human, you're going to respect it more. That's one. Two, anything that a machine can create, here's the real kicker, okay? Any music or any art that an AI can create is only because it's referencing something humans have already made. It takes the data from every song or every note that like if you want to create a Drake song, they have to compile every Drake song. They have to take apart and listen to every Drake song and then kind of mishmash a new creation. But they're using what he's already what he's already created from his talent, the way he sings, the way he writes. They're using that to create it. So are they really creating it? I mean, technically yes, but they're not using their own talent. Even with art, like it has to mimic certain style, or it has to mimic just what's already been created. Art in and of itself is a human creation. So it can never truly, I guess technically it could replace humans, but it will never truly be unique. It's not going to create a new medium, a new art style, because it's already been created. It's not going to invent abstract. Abstract's already been invented. It's not going to invent realism or what's it called? Impressionism. It's not going to be able to create those things because humans already created it. Same with music. I mean, I guess it could come out, I don't know how. It could blend something to create a new thing. But they're blending from things that already exist, is the thing. It's going to generate things that they know people are interested in, or that people enjoy, and are like the top hits. And it's going to draw from that. But those are already human creations. So, it is interesting. It's terrifying as a musician to know that that's out there. That we could easily just be replaced by robots. But it's not going to stop musicians from creating. Musicians are always going to be around. Music is it's almost essential to humanity at this point. And everybody enjoys music. Everybody somehow, some way is connected to music. So the physical artist will never go away. That's always going to be a part of it. But to know that exists, yeah, it's a little irritating and terrifying. But also in music, I wanted to bring this up. My buddy Eric introduced me to a band that I had never heard before called Sleep Token. Okay, I'm not sure if any of you out there have heard of these guys. I think I had heard of them, but I had never listened to them. And he was like, dude, you should check these guys out. They're pretty cool. Like, they sound really good. And first thing that I know, these guys, they are a theatrical band. Like, they wear the masks. They have like a whole thing that, like a whole gimmick that they do, okay? Very similar to like how Slipknot does, even more similar to Ghost and the way Ghost operates. They all wear masks, they have like a persona, and they hide their identities and this, that, all that is essentially how it is. And that's nothing new, right? That's nothing. The performative aspect, the more art, it's a visual, theatrical addition to the music. In This Moment does that to an there's varying extents to these. Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie, they're very theatrical. But then you get like Mushroom Head, Gwar. These guys all wear like costumes and do like light shows, and Gwar does the blood. It's a whole performance. It's like a whole theatrical experience. So it's not uncommon to see this. Little less common, it seems now. Like, it's not every band really leans into that, but it's not far from the common. And so that's the first thing I noticed, and I'm like, oh, okay, another theatrical band. That's fine, whatever. Obviously, that's the first thing you notice when you see a band, is visually how they present themselves. And so I have this specific kind of thought of what they might be like. Then I hear the music, and it's good. I like it. It's not, I don't, it maybe not my favorite, but I enjoyed it. I listened to many songs. Musically, vocally, lyrically, I'm good with it. Like, I fuck with it. Like, it's good. I have no issues. And, I guess for me, I'll say this. I'm just going to go back real quick to like the theatrical aspect of things. Pretty much every band I just mentioned that does the theatrical stuff, I like. I love their music, okay? And I understand the performative aspect. It's just another layer to the art and to the performance, and to, it's one extra thing that you get to enjoy, okay? To me, in a way, it takes away from the music a little bit. I think it takes a little bit of that focus away from the music. And to some extent, and this is just me being a musician that doesn't do this, and maybe I'm being a bit of a snob about this. I'm not trying to be. I'm just kind of trying to think about this out loud. To me, in a little bit of a way, it feels like sometimes these bands who do these performative things are trying to maybe not hide under the music, or like try and mask the music in a way, because all these guys' bands are good. The music is good, but maybe they are not confident in their music, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're a little insecure about it in a way. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense. But it kind of feels that way. Like they might be a little insecure about the music, so they have to add something else. And maybe that's not true at all. Maybe these guys just like the performance aspect. Maybe it's just one extra thing that they enjoy doing alongside the music. But it just feels to me sometimes when I see that, it's kind of a decoy away from the music. It takes focus away from the music. Maybe unintentionally, But for me, it kind of does, okay? And it's just my opinion. That's just my opinion, that it seems to take a little bit away from the music, even though the music itself is great. But then you have all this other stuff. Now, here's the thing. Here's something I have to read to you, okay? Because as far as Sleep Token itself goes, I'm cool with the performance stuff. I'm cool with the masks. I'm cool with, like, all that. And then you have the music, which is good. And like I said, it really reminds me of Ghost. It's very, very similar in the way that they have a frontman who he goes by the moniker Papa Emeritus, and then all the other guys are nameless, and they're all everybody in the band, except now I guess technically Tobias, who's the lead singer of Ghost. But everybody's identities are hidden, and it's a mystery who these guys are. Nobody really talks. There's no real interviews. So it's all kind of secretive. It's all kind of mysterious. And then you have the show aspect where it's very performative and all this stuff, okay? Then I read this, okay? And this might be where I draw the line, okay? I'm just going to read you this little snippet about Sleep Token, okay? Let me get this up. Sleep Token are said to be the mortal representatives of the ancient deity known only as Sleep, led by the masked and cloaked figure appointed Vessel, the master creator behind the music. The band's only reported interview... Frontman Vessel explained on the lore of the band, starting that we are here to serve Sleep and protect his message. When asked about Sleep, he stated that he is everywhere at all times. Vessel encountered Sleep in a dream with promise of glory and magnificence if Vessel followed him. I'm out! No. That's not what's happening. Okay. I'm out! You're full of shit, okay? It's one thing to dress up and call yourself whatever and play music, but you adding a story to it now? You want me to believe that you're the vessel to some deity and you're sending out the message that Sleep wants you to convey. That's where I draw the line. It's one thing to be creative and to be performative and do all that, but now you want me to believe that you're not just going by the name Vessel, but you are, in fact, the vessel in which this deity speaks through. I'm out. You lost me. You're crazy. The music's still good. I take nothing away from that. I can still enjoy the music. But you want me to get on board with that bullshit? You're a duck. You're a fucking duck. If you think that's going to be the new word, okay? That's going to be the new word for the R word. You're a duck if you think that I'm going to... If you think I'm going to follow that shit. And like, really... And you know what's crazy? There's 100% adults out there that are really like, yeah, man, that's cool. That's, how rad is that? Like, he's the vessel on which Sleep sends his messages. Fuck yeah, I'm all in. Like, let's go. There's really adult men out there on the backs of this bullshit. And I'm out! I'm not doing it! Just be a fucking band! Just make music! You don't gotta be the vessel! Could you imagine if there... I mean, and I'm not saying that this doesn't exist, because it very easily could. But could you imagine if there was a Christian rock band, and one of them fucking wore a big... just like dressed up like a pope, similar to Ghost... If they were like the Christian Ghost, because Ghost identifies as satanic, but like imagine the opposite, and you have a band that's a Christian rock band, and the guy dresses like a pope, and is like, I am the vessel in which God speaks. I am God's messenger, and he speaks through me. You'd say that guy's a fucking nut job. And I get it. I get this is just a performance. But you're going that deep? You're going to go so far as to create a fucking background story that you want me to buy into? Just make music, dude! Just make music. You're good at it. It sounds great. You don't gotta make me think you're some fucking duck out here. Dude, I was on board. I was in. And then you said that shit? I'm out. I'll still listen to music. I'll still support. But I can't get on board with the lunacy. The absolute lunacy. For this guy to think, I'm gonna be like, that's Vessel. It's Vessel. He speaks for sleep! Oh! God! Oh, jeez. People are losing it out here. Bunch of ducks running around out here, huh? Oh, Jesus. Jesus. All right. That was fun. I did not think that was going to get so out there. So heated. But it's true. Like, it's absolute insanity. So, I wasn't so certain I really even wanted to bring this up, but it's something, I guess. It's something that happened to me. And I'll just bring it up anyway, because now I've already said it, so I have to, and you guys would be pissed if I was like, nah, never mind, I'm not going to say it. But, kind of a little bit of an interesting interaction or situation I was thrust into this last week, okay? Interesting in the fact of, well, let me explain, and it'll make more sense. It's more interesting in the fact that it happened the way it did, I guess, and less interesting of what it actually was. So, I'm chilling at my stomping grounds, the Crystal Lounge, right? Just hanging out. I think it was was it a weekend? I don't remember now. No. I think it was no, I don't remember what day it was. Anyway, not important, I guess. Because I was just trying to think of who the DJ was. Because I don't think it was Michael. Anyway, I'm hanging out at the Crystal. We're chilling. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in, right? And this guy happens to be the guy that my ex-girlfriend left me for. This was for, okay, now, just for context to anybody who's not aware, this has been fucking 5-6 years ago, okay? Now, it was the last relationship I was in, okay? That may or may not be important at all. But it was, in fact, the last relationship serious, committed relationship I was in. And so, this is not a guy I run into frequently, okay? Maybe once other time, okay? And the reason I even bring this up is, I don't know if anybody out there has experienced a thing where, let's say you have a bad experience with somebody, or it's somebody that I get this feeling with my sister, too. Like, me and her have clashed a lot, and I get like an anxiety. It's like, I guess it's kind of an anxiety, but it's more like a flare up. Like, you just get heated because, I had such a long resentment toward this guy. Like a large amount of resentment and hatred for this guy for a long time. And I've forgiven it, okay? I truly have. I've forgiven everything. I've gotten over it. But, and that's why I was very surprised that I felt this way. Because I do feel like I'm over it. Or at least maybe that's just it. I am over it though. Like, I know I am. But I think it's because there was such animosity for so long that seeing him maybe brought those feelings back. And also, I think it's a level of not wanting confrontation, right? Like, I don't want there to be confrontation. And I don't know, maybe I thought he might have something to say. And so there was a moment of that uncomfortability feeling. And then as the night went on, and he was there and I was there, I said nothing to him. He said nothing to me. We went on with our lives. And as the night went on, it was like, oh, there's nothing for me to be upset about. Like, I'm fine. He has no bearing on me. There was that moment when I saw him, there was that moment of, I can't even describe it. It wasn't anger. It wasn't a fight or flight type response. It was, I guess you could say, kind of just like an anxiety. And maybe it was more toward the fact that I didn't want there to be confrontation. And like, so much of my connection to him was confrontation. And then, like I said, as the night went on, it was fine. I was able to be, we were able to be in the same room. Didn't have to say nothing to him. And that was that. And I was fine. Now, the reason it's interesting, okay, is a mere 4 or 5 days later, I'm sitting at a different bar. And who comes in? My ex. And that's not really that surprising because this bar is one she frequents. So I didn't even think about that, honestly. Like, it's not a place I go very often, but it's a place that she goes. And the last few times I've been there, she wasn't there. So it didn't really register in my brain that she might possibly be there, okay? I don't know where she goes. I don't know who she hangs out with, kind of a thing. And that's fine. So I'm sitting at the bar watching the NFL draft, and they start doing karaoke. Crazy enough. I didn't even know they did karaoke at this bar. And so I'm like, okay, I'll sing a couple songs. So I sing a song, I go sit down, and then I hear her name pop up, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, literally, I thought, oh, that's interesting. This person has the same name as my ex. I turn around, it's her. And I think because I had that previous experience just a few days before, I didn't get that same anxiety. I think I had made the realization that it's not a big deal. Like, she's moved on with her life, I've moved on with my life, and it's okay. I didn't say nothing to her, she didn't say nothing to me. I'm sure we both made the realization and the recognition that we were in the same place at the same time, and that it was all good. She seemed to be having a good time, I was having a fine time, and we can coexist. Like, the past doesn't need to define our present, kind of a thing, you know? Like, we don't need the things that were terrible in our past to destroy how we continue in the present. So, it's not like I felt the need I needed to get up and leave. I wasn't so distraught that I couldn't be in the same room with her, because I've moved on. And clearly she has too. She's married now. And that's cool. Like, congratulations. I'm so happy for her. Like, I'm glad she found something, you know, and she found what she wanted in life. I really am. And I'm quite happy and content in my life. Now, I will admit this, okay? Because there was karaoke, I may have sang my best songs, like the songs I know I can crush, because for some reason there's still a level, and I think a lot of people experience this, not just with exes, but with family, with friends. There's a thing, or I guess better yet, like people you went to school with, kind of a thing, that you feel the need to prove to people that you're, like, doing good, I guess. And, you know, because I do music and stuff, it's like I had this weird part of my brain that needed to prove that I was, like, a good musician, or, like, I could sing good. Excuse me. Always comes in threes. But yeah, it was like I had this weird thing in my brain that I had to prove that I was good, or like that I was good at something, or that I was like, I don't know. Does that make sense? It's like if you were hanging out with somebody that you went to high school with, and like you're playing catch, like you feel like you got to throw the ball just a little bit harder. Like you got to prove that you're still on top of it, or that you still got something to like be impressed by, or like maybe that day you got to try and impress them for some fucking reason, which is, you know, afterwards I'm like, that's kind of ridiculous that I felt like I needed to do that. But I think that's just kind of something that a lot of people feel. You know, if you had a friend that you had a falling out with and you saw them somewhere, you feel like you got to kind of impress them in some way for no reason, because guess what? She probably went home and didn't think a fucking thing about me. At the same time, I'm also kind of a narcissist in the fact that, like, when it comes to music, I do feel like I need to put on a performance, and I need to, like, prove, not just to people I know, but to fucking strangers that I'm, like, good. Because when I have a bad song, I feel like shit. And when I want to perform. And that's partially the narcissist in me that's a musician and a performer in general. But yeah, that was just like an interesting interaction that I had this week. Like I said, mostly just interesting in the fact that I haven't run into either of those two out in public in years. And then in the same week, two different places, I run into them both. And crazy enough, there was karaoke involved both times. One at a bar that I go to all the time, and the other at a bar I don't really go to at all. So, it was just, that was kind of just a weird thing, and it almost felt like a test. Like I needed that. Like I was being sent that as a test to prove to myself, maybe, that I'm over it, and like it doesn't matter, it has no bearing on my life anymore. But also maybe just like the realization that the past doesn't define our present, you know? And that's hard sometimes. That's hard for people to realize, and sometimes it takes a lot longer time to get to that point in life where things that happen in your past don't weigh on you anymore. And maybe that was just it. Maybe that's just the realization that I needed now, that that's over. Because I've mentally known that. I've at least felt that. I've mentally like been over it, but I haven't physically had to like make that realization, I guess. You know, I haven't had to be in the situation where I could make that realization. And now I have. And it was whatever. It wasn't like this breakthrough, like, prophetic moment of my life, but it was something, I guess, and apparently it was worth talking about on here, so whoop-de-fucking-do. Well, let's wrap it up with some sports talk, shall we? I mean, I could talk about the NFL draft, but honestly, there really wasn't a lot to talk about. The Baltimore Ravens extended Lamar Jackson, so he's finally locked in with the Ravens. The Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama, went to Carolina. Sorry, bud. Although, I will say this. The Panthers do have quite a few weapons on offense. Defense, not so sure about that. But offensively, they look pretty good. So, we'll see. Maybe there'll be something. That division sucks ass, so who knows? Maybe they'll surprise everybody. CJ Stroud, quarterback from Ohio State, went to... Where did he go? Who is this? Oh, Houston. And then Houston traded up to the 3rd overall pick, so they had the 2nd and 3rd overall pick, and they got Will Anderson, linebacker from Alabama. So that's cool. Broncos didn't even... we traded up into the 2nd round, which was crazy. We only had 6 picks in the whole draft, and we traded up twice. We traded up to the 2nd round to get Marvin Mims, I think is his name. Wide receiver from Oklahoma State, or Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma. I was surprised they took a wide receiver, but it sure seems like they're going to be moving on from one of their wide receivers at some point. So there's that. Then we got a linebacker, and we got a cornerback. The draft is currently still going on, so I think we only have a couple 6th-round picks at this point. But, yeah, I mean, pretty interesting. And I didn't really follow the draft as much this year. The quarterback that went, Will Levis, he went to the 2nd round. I think he got drafted by the Titans. Got him. Oh, and the quarterback from Florida, I can't think of his name, went to, where the hell did he go? Indianapolis? I'm not so sure about that move. I don't really know him, though, so I can't say anything on that. But we'll see. I used to really get into the draft. It definitely didn't help that the Broncos didn't have a 1st-round pick this year for me to get so interested in the 1st round. But it is fun to see where everybody goes, and then, some of these guys turn out to be superstars. And it's cool to see the draft and all that. I love NFL. But above that, it doesn't help either that the Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche are in the playoffs right now, so that's more where my focus has been. Nuggets beat the Timberwolves to advance and go on to play. Now, tonight, we are playing Game 1 of the against the Phoenix Suns. This is the test, man. The Nuggets, this is the test. If we can get past the Suns, I truly think we're going to the championship. Because after this, it's probably going to be... Well, the Lakers advanced, so it'll be the Lakers versus either the Warriors or the Kings, which is sick that those two teams are in a Game 7. Because they're both really good teams. And hopefully, either one of them can beat the Lakers. But if the Nuggets get past the Suns, I kind of want it to be either the Lakers or the Warriors. Because I just think these are the tests we have to make. We have to beat the better teams if we want to go on and win a championship. We owe the Phoenix Suns to beat them. They beat us last year in the playoffs. We got to return the favor and beat that ass. That's number 1. Number 2, we got to beat the Lakers for beating us out of the Western Conference Finals 3 years ago. And the Warriors, I mean, the defending champions. They won it last year, so we got to beat them. The Kings, if it's the Nuggets and the Kings, that's going to be fucking rad. Because either way, I'll root for the Kings, honestly. I mean, I might not if they beat us because I'll be bitter, but the Kings are kind of a fun story to watch this year. But overall, let's go Nuggies. Got to beat them Suns. This is the biggest test. Kevin Durant, They're a tough team. I think we have the depth. I think we have. It's going to depend on the defense and the matchups and how well Aaron Gordon can defend against Jokic. Or I mean, not Jokic. Durant. How well he can defend against Durant. But this could be a 7-game series right here. It's going to be a tough series. And also, let me just put this out there. Fuck Devin Booker and his tiny little eyes. His beady little black eyes. And I'm not talking about his skin color. I'm talking about how his eyes literally look like they were just like 2 little dots. Fuck that guy. I want to beat his ass in these playoffs. Not me personally. He would definitely crush me. But the Nuggets, let's stomp on that little little duck. Stomp that duck out. Run him over. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again. I do appreciate it. Once again, if you wouldn't mind, please like, share, subscribe. Don't forget, stay true to your beliefs. Don't let people try and steer you away from the things you believe, because there's a reason you believe them, you know? Go check out that duck penis. I know you really want to. It's weird as shit. And for God's sakes, don't be a band that tries to make me try and convince me that you're some vessel to a deity, okay? Because it ain't happening. I ain't on board. But most importantly, don't forget, life's a garden. Dig it. Just gotta keep on keeping on.
Life's a garden, dig it?